Welcome back to an Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're tackling a question a lot of you seem to be asking. Is Lucid Group a good time to buy now? We've gathered, well, quite a stack of analyses, financial reports, news updates, really trying to give you the clearest picture possible on this luxury EV maker. Before we dig into Lucid, though, we definitely want to hear from you. If you're finding value in these discussions, please take a moment to subscribe, maybe like this session, and leave a comment. Your engagement, it really helps us bring more insightful content your way. And look, if you'd like to support the show, you could consider buying us a coffee. Plus, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into, just leave a comment below.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, our goal here isn't about giving financial advice. Not at all. It's about equipping you with the essential insights from the most current data we could find. We'll be breaking down Lucid's fundamentals, looking at market sentiment, dissecting their recent actions and what's coming up. We really want to give you those crucial nuggets of knowledge so you feel, truly well-informed to make your own calls.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with the company's financial health first. When we look at the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024, what are those revenue and earnings numbers actually telling us about their strength,
Well, what's immediately striking, I think, is the revenue picture. For fiscal year 24, Lucid Group reported $595.3 million in revenue. Now, that's not just flat. It's actually a modest decline from the year before, from $601.2 million in 2023. And this isn't just a number, right? It points to ongoing sort of underlying challenges with getting cars built and delivered, production volumes. And it also hints at pressure on their average selling prices. Even more critically, the company reported significant operating losses. We're talking $2.9 billion and a net loss of $2.99 billion for that same period. These are not like minor dents. These are deep structural losses.
Wow, okay. A decline in revenue, nearly $3 billion in losses. That's a pretty challenging backdrop. And what about the gross margin? How does that fit into the story?
The gross margin, it remained deeply negative, astonishingly so, at minus 158%.
Minus 158.
Yeah. Minus 158%.
Yeah.
So just to put that in perspective, it means for every dollar of revenue they bring in, they're losing about $1.58 just on the cost of making that car. This figure really underscores their ongoing operational struggles. They've got underutilized factories, meaning they aren't running efficiently, and they're struggling immensely to absorb their fixed costs. Now, management's commentary in their 10K, that's their big annual report, it indicates their priority is cutting costs, launching new products, trying to get towards break even. But, and this is crucial, they haven't provided specific future earnings guides. So there's a lot of uncertainty there.
That minus 158% gross margin, it really does highlight the uphill battle, doesn't it? So when we pull all these numbers together, what does it truly mean for Lucid's overall financial health, their ability to just, keep the lights on and build cars?
Right. So as of the end of 2024, Lucid had $3.2 billion in cash and equivalents. On the surface, that sounds like a decent cushion, but you have to remember a big chunk of that is thanks to huge capital injections from the Saudi Public Investment Fund, the PIF, and previous stock offerings too. So essentially, they're burning through cash at a rapid clip. Total debt stood at $2.01 billion. That's a substantial amount compared to their current, and remember, declining revenue. This is a pretty high financial risk and, frankly, a continuous need for outside funding just to keep operating. Free cash flow, as you'd probably guess, is also deeply negative. They burned through $2.38 billion in cash from operations in FY 2024 alone.
Wow.
So it's not just about profit. It's about covering the day-to-day without constantly needing more investment.
Okay, given those, pretty daunting financial realities, how does Lucid even position itself in this super competitive EV market? Who are they really up against, and what's supposed to be their unique selling point here?
Well, they've definitely targeted the premium EV segment, high-end. So the Lucid Air goes right up against things like Tesla's Model S, the Mercedes EQS, the Porsche Taycan.
The big players.
Exactly. Now, their perceived advantages, what they push, are their own battery technology. They claim gives class-leading range, efficiency.
Right, I've heard that.
And of course, the deep financial backing from the Saudi PIF. That's a big one. However, here's the reality check. Their market share? Still tiny compared to competitors, just negligible. They face these persistent delays in ramping up production volumes, getting cars out the door, and their dealer and service network is still quite limited. That constrains both their ability to scale up and build the brand. When you're selling luxury, the whole experience matters, right? Purchase, survey.
Absolutely.
And Lucid still has a lot of ground to cover there.
Yeah, it sounds like they might have the tech or at least the promise of it, but the execution, getting it to market, those are serious hurdles. So, okay, let's step back from the raw financials for a second. How is the market actually valuing Lucid, given all this? And what's the stock's recent performance telling us about how investors feel?
Right, connecting it to the bigger picture.
Hmm?
Lucid's valuation ratios, as of, say, early September 2025, they show some really interesting points, stretch points, frankly. Their PE ratio, price to earnings, not meaningful.
No earnings.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because of those huge net losses we talked about, can't have a multiple if the E is negative. But their price to sales ratio, PS, how much investors pay per dollar of revenue, it's around 7.7 times. That's based on a market cap around $4.6 billion and that $595 million revenue for 2024. Their price to book, PB market value versus book value, about 1.4 times.
Okay, 7.7 times sales. How does that stack up against other car companies, like the old guard, GM, Toyota, or even Tesla? Because that sounds pretty high for a company with falling revenue.
You're spot on. Those ratios are quite elevated,
Right.
especially compared to traditional guys like GM or Toyota. You often see PS ratios below 1x for them and PD around 1x, much lower. Even compared to Tesla. Tesla has a PS around 5x, but that's on a much, much higher growth path. And importantly, they're profitable. Lucid's valuation still commands this significant premium. And what's fascinating, or maybe concerning, is that this premium on revenue and book value, it doesn't seem to reflect any near-term earnings power at all. It suggests the market isn't valuing Lucid on today's reality, but on the story, right?
Good potential.
Yeah, the potential. Proprietary tech, luxury niche, and maybe that implied PIF safety net.
Right.
It's a classic growth stock gamble. A huge bet on the future, despite today's red ink. In fact, trying to build a credible discounted cash flow model is basically impossible with the negative cash flows and the really high execution risk.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a bet on what could be, not what is. So for the average investor just watching the stock price, what's the chart telling us lately?
The price action has been pretty challenging, that's putting it mildly. The stock was trading in a pretty tight range, like $1.95 to $2.45 a share, during August and September 2025. That puts it near multi-year lows.
Ouch.
Yeah. And for anyone who remembers those, heady days back in 2021 when Lucid was above $45.
Right. Big difference.
Today's prices are a stark reminder of how fast sentiment can turn in this EV space. It's kind of a classic case of maybe future potential getting way overvalued and then reality bites. Key support levels seem to be around $1.90 to $2. If it breaks below that, could see more selling. Resistance is up around $2.40, $2.60, and it's been struggling to get past that.
And the technical indicators, the things traders watch, what are they signaling?
Well, both the 50-day and the 200-day moving averages are sloping down sharply, and the price is way below both. That pretty clearly confirms a sustained bearish trend. No argument there. The relative strength index, the RSI, it's around 38, which, could suggest it's mildly oversold, maybe tempting for some contrarians looking for a bounce. However, the MACD indicator, that momentum gauge, it's still negative, still below its signal line, which kind of cautions that, maybe a short-term pop, but the underlying selling pressure hasn't really gone away.
So a mixed signal at best.
I'd say the weight of evidence is still bearish. It's like a battle between maybe short-term oversold conditions and this entrenched downward trend. And right now, the trend is winning. Oh, and volatility is super high too. Often swings of 4 or 5% a day are common. Adds another layer of risk.
Okay, so beyond the numbers, the story often unfolds in what a company does, right? Recent actions, what's coming next. What have been the most impactful things lately? How's Lucid trying to navigate these huge challenges?
That really brings us to a crucial point. What are they actually doing about it? So looking at the last 3 months or so, September 2025 was big. They completed that 1-for-10 reverse stock split.
Ah, yes, the reverse split.
Right. So for every 10 shares you owned, now you own 1, but theoretically at 10 times the price. But the market reaction, the stock actually fell over 10% in one day, hitting a new post-split low.
Oof, not the intended effect.
Not at all. Investors reacted negatively. Worries about dilution, sure, but also it's often seen as a sign of distress, underlying weakness. This came after shareholders approved it back in August. It cut the outstanding shares way down, from over 3 billion to about 307 million. And this was happening alongside already slashed production targets for 2025. Not a great combo.
So the reverse split was a big and apparently negative headline. What happened before that in the summer months? Anything setting the stage?
Oh yeah. In August, right before the split really hit, Lucid reported its Q2 numbers. They missed analyst expectations pretty much across the board.
Okay.
And that led them to update their guidance, cutting projected production again. Now looking at maybe 18,000 to 20,000 vehicles for the full year 2025, down from what they said before. They blamed tough industry conditions, market softness, which, fair enough, the whole EV space is facing headwinds.
True.
And the reverse split approval itself was partly aimed at just staying listed on Nasdaq, keeping the price above minimum levels, and hoping to stabilize the stock, which clearly didn't quite work out immediately.
Right. What about July? Was there any, I don't know, glimmer of positive news then, or was it all pointing downwards?
July actually saw a real flurry of activity. Looked like they were trying hard to change the narrative. They announced they intended to acquire Nikola's production facilities, the idea being capacity expansion, maybe some operational efficiencies.
Interesting move.
Yeah. And there were leadership changes, too. The CEO stepped down. The COO took over as interim CEO. That often signals a potential strategy shift, a fresh look at things. And then on the brand side, kind of out of left field, they named Timothy Chalamet as Global Brand Ambassador.
The actor.
Yep. An attempt to boost that luxury appeal, presumably. And they also closed a robo-taxi deal with Uber, kind of a pilot program, seen as both a brand thing and maybe, just maybe, a future growth avenue in a totally different area. So yeah, they were definitely trying to inject some positive momentum amidst all the financial strain.
Okay, so a lot has happened. With all that context, what's coming up? What do investors really need to watch out for in the next, say, 3 months? Key milestones.
The next few months are definitely crucial, packed with potential triggers, good or bad. Coming up soon, September 18th, you've got ETF rebalancing for major EV indexes.
Ah, the index funds.
Exactly. These funds adjust their holdings based on market cap and other rules. It can cause significant buying or selling pressure on stocks like Lucid, creating volatility. Then, October 10th, the big one. Q3 financial earnings release. That'll give us the latest on production, deliveries, and crucially, that cash burn rate. After that, October 25th, we get the institutional 13F filings.
That's where the big funds show their hands.
Precisely. Public disclosures where hedge funds, pension funds reveal what they owned at the end of the quarter. Gives you a sense of what the big money is thinking or doing. Then, looking towards year-end, there's usually a Black Friday holiday demand update around November 29th, gauging consumer interest. And finally, Q4 production and delivery guidance, likely around December 2nd, setting expectations for the final stretch of the year.
That's quite the calendar. What's the real significance of those events for the stock? How could each one really move the needle for Lucid?
Well, the Q3 earnings and that ETF rebalancing are probably the biggest near-term sentiment drivers. Especially after the reverse split and the guidance cuts, earnings will show if there's any progress on deliveries, maybe a tiny bit of margin improvement or more of the same.
Right.
ETF flows. Well, depending on Lucid's market cap ranking after the split, staying in or falling out of indexes could cause significant buying or selling. More volatility. The 13F filings, they'll be key for gauging investor conviction. Are the institutions that back them sticking around? Are they adding? Or quietly heading for the exits?
Gotcha.
And those holiday demand numbers, Q4 guidance, critical for seeing if the Lucid Air is finding buyers and maybe setting the stage for the Gravity SUV launch.
Yeah.
Any surprise, like an upward revision in production, unlikely as it seems now, or maybe news of a new big investment, that could be pivotal. It really feels like they're walking a tightrope, and each of these events is like a gust of wind. Could go either way.
Okay, pulling it all together then. The financials, the market view, the recent news. What are the absolute biggest risks still hanging over Lucid? And on the flip side, what are some of those more speculative what-ifs that could maybe change the story?
Yeah, that's the crux of it, isn't it? How much risk is already baked into that low stock price. The stock-specific risks are still pretty significant, I'd say. First, there's just straight-up liquidity and going concern risk, meaning without substantial growth soon or more big cash injections.
Like from the PIF again.
Exactly. Or other sources. They might need to issue more stock, diluting existing shareholders further, or take on more debt just to keep operating. That's a real risk. Then there's execution risk. Huge execution risk, especially delivering on volume and margin for the Gravity SUV. That vehicle is absolutely critical for their future. And of course, you can't ignore the geopolitical risk. Being so heavily reliant on the Saudi PIF, any shifts in Saudi strategy or broader political changes could have a direct impact.
And outside the company itself, broader market stuff.
Oh yeah, the whole EV sector is intensely competitive, super capital intensive. Plus, it's very sensitive to macroeconomic headwinds. Things like interest rates going up makes financing expensive cars harder, consumer spending wobbles, regulatory changes too around emissions or incentives, and volatile commodity costs lithium, cobalt that directly hits their battery costs. So it's a complex environment even beyond Lucid's own specific problems.
But like you said, in the world of these kinds of stocks, there are always whispers, right?
Yeah.
Rumors. What are some of those speculative catalysts floating around? The what-if scenarios that might offer a silver lining or even a breakout?
Indeed. Those whispers are often what keeps the hope alive for speculative investors. There's like ongoing speculation about a potential partnership with a major tech firm, someone interested in autonomous driving tech.
Like an Apple or a Google.
Potentially, yeah. Imagine a deep-pocketed tech player investing heavily in Lucid for its sensor tech or software platform. That could be completely transformational. Then there are the rumors about the PIF itself. Might they increase their stake even more, maybe take it private, provide even more cash in exchange for more control? That's always possible. Some industry chatter also suggests Lucid could become an acquisition target, maybe for a legacy automaker looking to fast-track their premium EV presence in the U.S.
Buy versus build.
Exactly. And finally, those hints about the robotaxi pilot with Uber, could that expand commercially sooner than expected? Unlock a whole new, potentially scalable revenue stream? These are all, pretty speculative, high-risk, high-reward possibilities, but they definitely fuel that speculative fire around the stock.
So let's bring it all back home to our original question. Is Lucid Group a good time to buy now? What's the distilled takeaway for someone listening right now?
Based on everything we've looked at, our analysis points to Lucid Group remaining, frankly, a high-risk, high-uncertainty investment. You've got persistent, deep operating losses, consistently negative cash flow, a track record of underperforming on deliveries. And despite the stock price drop, its market valuation still seems stretched based on fundamental metrics. The equity dilution from that reverse split, the heavy dependence on Saudi money, it just heightens the uncertainty. We just haven't seen that tangible proof of outperformance in sales or a real improvement in cost to justify even the current valuation yet.
And when you layer in the technical picture, the market sentiment we discussed,
Both remain predominantly negative, yeah. The analysts covering the stock, insider ownership trends, they also lean bearish overall. Suggests a lack of strong conviction from those supposedly in the know. So, look, it doesn't look particularly attractive for short-term trading right now, given that bearish momentum, and for long-term investment. The business model is still unproven at scale, and the liquidity risk is very real. It really falls into that highly speculative category, suited only maybe for ultra-high-risk tolerant traders hoping for a rebound if, and it's a big if, some of those major catalysts actually happen and they execute flawlessly. Definitely not a buy for the faint of heart.
well, thank you for walking us through all that complexity. It's really clear that while Lucid has, exciting tech potential and that significant backing, the road ahead is incredibly complex, challenging,
Yeah.
and definitely risky.
Absolutely. I think the key takeaway for you, our listeners, that the next few months are just critical. Lucid's future seems to hinge on their ability to actually execute, hit those revised targets, rebuild some investor confidence after the split, maybe land one of those strategic deals, watching that holiday demand, seeing what the institutions do. That'll be crucial for any kind of recovery potential heading into late 2025.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? How much rests on actually doing what they say they'll do, especially with things like the Gravity SUV launch or maybe one of those rumored partnerships landing. That could truly pivot the whole story for Lucid, turn this high-spec bet into something, well, more concrete. Really shows the power of perception, potential, and execution in the market, even when the current numbers look tough. We really appreciate you tuning in with us today. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.